Hello YouTube and hello Snerd. It's been a while since I've made a video. I've been tagged, so to speak, so I'm going to cough up 5 basic things about me. I'm autistic. Yes, you've heard that correctly, folks. I'm autistic, and I was diagnosed at age 2. Now I know many of you are probably thinking, but you seem so normal. How could you possibly be autistic? Well, autism is what is called a spectrum disorder. In other words, it has many different forms ranging from moderate to severe, or what we in the autism community call high-functioning versus low-functioning autistics. Now, I don't have an official diagnosis on this, as my official diagnosis was low-functioning autism. Of course, the doctor didn't know what the hell he was talking about, but that's beside the point, which is obviously not the case, but I suspect that the form of autism I have is one called Asperger's. I know it's a funny name, isn't it? But it was named after some German doctor, so bear with me. Anyway, it's one of the most common forms of high-functioning autism. People with this particular form tend to have average and in many cases above average IQs, and yet often have difficulty with basic social interaction. The best way I can explain this is through the movie A Beautiful Mind, which is a true story about a mathematical genius who had schizophrenia. Now, I know this guy had a different condition than I do, but bear with me, folks. This man was very intelligent and very gifted. It appeared as if he had the perfect mind. He could solve the most complicated equations with ease, yet had severe hallucinations and heard voices of people which didn't exist. These imaginary people didn't tell him to do things like kill people or burn things, but they still told him some things. And eventually he found out that these people and voices were not real. Unfortunately, they never went away. But he was eventually able to ignore them and move on with his life. My point is, folks, that the mind is a complicated thing, and not everything is as it appears. Number 2, I love to eat. Growing up in an Italian family, I've been very fortunate to have some very good food, including many foods people really are missing out on. Now, how many of you here, with the exception of maybe a few of you in New Orleans, as it is a specialty there, can honestly say you've had an authentic muffaletta? For those of you who don't know what a muffaletta is, it's a specialty sandwich. It is ham, salami, provolone cheese, lettuce, and tomato served with a special olive spread between 2 pieces of round Italian flatbread, served hot with steak fries and often your choice of soup or salad. I know many of you are probably thinking, what's the big deal? It's just another sandwich. Now, it's the bread that, more than anything else, makes the sandwich. Trust me on this one, folks. To use another example, have you ever tried a chocolate meatball? No, folks, it's not a meatball literally covered in chocolate. It's actually a cookie, a chocolate cookie served with nuts, chocolate chips, and topped with vanilla icing. But you have to admit, it does look like a meatball. The point is, it's a damn good cookie. All this good food, though, does come with a price, though. All 150 pounds of it. You heard right, folks. I weigh 350 pounds. I'm in pretty good shape for a guy who weighs as much as I do, but I still need to lose weight, folks. Number 3, I tend to be very blunt. If I smell bullshit, I'll say I smell bullshit. I'm of the school of thought that euphemisms and puns should be used if you're trying to be funny, not to water down the point you're trying to make. Now, this does get me into trouble sometimes and might get me into trouble in the future, but we all have our crosses to bear, and for some of us, our crosses to burn. See what I did there? I made a funny. Number 4, I'm a political junkie. Folks, I pay attention to politics like many people pay attention to sports. And sadly, like many people, pay attention to the tabloid BS that often passes for news these days. I know almost every major reporter, pundit, and politician by first and last name. and have a decent understanding and, of course, opinion on every issue being debated and voted on. When there's a debate on TV, one way or another, I'll see it. Even if it's a Republican one. Now, those debates in particular are some of the best entertainment on TV. I swear, folks, it's like a cross between The Twilight Zone, the Rocky Horror Picture Show, Olympic gymnastics, and monkeys throwing poop at each other at the zoo. Anyway. And finally, the last reason, number 5, I'll be 22 this month, and I'm still a virgin. It's really a blessing and a curse at the same time. It's probably a good thing I didn't lose it during my teenage years, as my dick had so much control over my brain that I might not have carefully thought through the possible consequences, such as AIDS and STDs, and becoming a daddy much sooner than I should. I'm glad that none of that has happened to me, but folks, I'm still, as we should say, a little frustrated. Not as frustrated as I was during my teenage years, but still frustrated. The main reason for this is I just don't have a lot of confidence when it comes to women. I'm always afraid I'll screw up and say the wrong thing. Anyway, until next time, folks, this is Obama Maniac. See ya.